Hello and welcome to the news at 7 on NTA International. I am Anne Jibuno. First, the headlines. End SARS. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed clears air on sanctions of 3 broadcasting stations for purveying unverified information. United Nations issues alert on need for COVID-19 recovery in developing countries. Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC to invest in gas as part of efforts to get Nigeria ready for the future in the wake of dwindling fortunes of petroleum liquids. The United Nations has issued a Save Our Soul alert on the needs of developing countries for COVID-19 recovery as they face what it called the precipice of financial ruin and escalating poverty, hunger and untold suffering. Secretary General of the organization, Antonio Guterres, made the plea ahead of the virtual G20 Leaders Summit under the Saudi Arabia presidency. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
The G20 is an international forum for governments and central bank governors, the main forum for deciding the opinion on many international economic cooperation and some other critical issues like terrorism, human trafficking, and global warming.
Sir, you have the floor.
Speaking to newsmen in New York, Antonio Guterres appealed for a massive rescue package equivalent to at least 10% of the global economy. He said the recent breakthrough on COVID-19 vaccine offer a ray of hope, adding that the ray of hope needs to be accessible and affordable to everyone, everywhere.
This is not a do-good exercise. It is the only way to stop the pandemic dead in its tracks. Solidarity is indeed survival.
On climate change, the UN scribe said, as at September this year, the rescue packages of G20 countries have committed 50% more in funding in support of fossil fuels than on low-carbon energy.
They must act now to put a price on carbon, to end fossil fuel subsidies, to stop the construction of new coal power plants.
Responding to the situation in Ethiopia, the Secretary General said, until now, the Ethiopian authorities have not accepted any form of external mediation.
We go on entirely at the disposal of the African Union to support any African Union initiative in this regard. And as I said, our main concern now is the dramatic humanitarian impact.
Statistics show that G20 economy represents around 85% of global GDP, over 75% of global trade, and 2/3 of the world's population. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
In a digital world with people constantly on the internet and cyber devices like laptops and mobile screens, is the relevance of television under threat? Adeola Kami Akere 6 answers as the world marks the 2020 Television Day.
Although television was invented in 1927 by 21-year-old Philo Taylor Farnsworth, it was not until 24 years ago that the United Nations proclaimed the 21st of November World Television Day. Statistics indicate that the number of television sets in households worldwide will rise from 1.63 billion in 2017 to 1.74 billion in 2023. Television stands as a reminder of the power of visual media and how it helps in shaping public opinion.
Television has been a major tool of communicating the values and benefits of products and services to the people. And it has been a tool that has helped the private sector and the manufacturers of goods and services to be able to communicate and the values and benefits of their product.
The single largest form of video consumption is the television. Worldwide, households and business outlets make use of the television to satisfy cravings for information, entertainment, and education. Today, television, which now comes in different shapes and sizes, is a symbol of communication and globalization. Many would wonder why the celebration of television. Do you know about what television is?
No, I'm just hearing it for the first time. While watching TV while growing up, that was what even made me to choose the kind of career I found myself.
Television will have to be said because television has done a lot. It has changed the media scape. It has changed the way information is being disseminated.
This medium of communication, which is now a global industry, has many challenges.
Having cheap internet to be able to do television on the go.
When events break, of course they can report it, but you understand. But in the case of the new media, when events break, they report it faster than TV, because of the fact that because of the universality power of the new media. Today, what I would suggest is that TV reporters, TV workers, you understand, should be trained more and more in the technology of new media.
With digitization in process, media practitioners explain the importance and how far the country has gone with the transition to digital broadcasting.
The space used by analog television is so big, so therefore it was becoming extremely difficult to do other things within the same space. So then came digital television. With digital television, the space you need for your channel can now accommodate 25 new channels.
Television has no doubt created opportunity for people to post, stream and consume content, as the interaction between emerging and traditional forms of broadcast create awareness on important issues affecting communities and the world at large. World Television Day is not so much as a celebration of a tool, but rather what it represents and recognizing the increasing impact it has in the process of decision-making. In Lagos, Adeola Komiakiri, NTA News.
And to shed more light on the World Television Day is a veteran broadcaster and retired director at the National Broadcasting Commission, Saliu. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Now, is there any reason why we should celebrate the World Television Day?
Almost certainly, television as a tool and television as a very important, in fact, a very powerful tool of social engineering has had a chance or has been very effective in bringing so many changes, because television creates what we call shared experience. Whatever is happening anywhere, when television reports it and transports the viewer right from where that person is to the location where the event is taking place. If we also, during the NSAS exercise or the NSAS protest, everybody who was watching television was actually like they were at all the locations where the activities were. So that's what television does. It brings you at the, right into the middle of the action. Television is so powerful that it helps you to, understand what is going on. It brings about, it stimulates conversation, so that we know what is going on in terms of social changes, societal changes, what is happening with race relations, what is happening with human relations, what's happening with issues of minorities, what is happening with issues of women, what is happening with issues of education, all the issues of the day.
Now let's look at the theme for this year's celebration. TV makes a difference. What do we make of this theme, and what difference are we talking about?
Well, TV makes a difference because imagine that in the first instance, in itself, it has become different. Because from the TV that we used to watch as children, and when NTA will start at 3:30 with this tone, and then music, and then national anthem and all that, and you have to watch whatever is shown there. Today, you have video on demand. You can watch whatever you want to watch. Now, that is in itself the difference in its own self. And then to us as people, we now don't have to, for instance, sit down and watch it at the time that it is showing. You can, TV is no longer linear, it's now lateral. You can watch whatever program you want to watch at any time, anywhere, at any time, depending on the kind of platform. And you can watch it now on so many different platforms. That's in its relationship with the people. And then when it sends out information and tells you what is going on, it makes a difference because it makes it to understand and appreciate the changes that are taking place in society. It allows you to learn what is going on, and it helps you to make informed choices and make informed decisions on whether it is politics or it is social relations or whatever changes are happening in the society around you.
If I may cut in here, how do you think we can keep television, relevant despite the emergence of the new media, the social media and all that?
Well, you see, television will remain relevant for a very long time. Maybe the way we use it might change a little bit, but social media has proved itself so far not to be as effective as television in terms of giving you the facts, the way things are, and the presentation of news in a professional and effective manner. Social media, generally speaking, does not present the news to you, in a professional manner. That is why it gives room, to fake news and other things that, can happen, that you cannot rely on. So, in fact, if you are using social media as your source of news, before you can even think of believing it, you need to go to a conventional TV station or a conventional news source where you can now listen to the news or get the news, properly before you can be sure whether it is true or not. So the social media will only make TV even more authoritative in terms of presenting its stories, its facts, and its information to the public.
Thank you very much, Awal Saliu, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Retired director at the National Broadcasting Commission. Now let's move on to other matters. ECOWAS Parliament is formulating a blueprint that will ensure that education in West Africa is not disrupted in the future by pandemics. Parliamentarians at the delocalized meeting of joint committees in Lomé, the capital of Togo, are brainstorming on this plan alongside experts in education and ICT in the region. Onengie Fineface reports.
Premised on the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted 94% of education and academic activities, affecting more than 1.6 billion people the world over, ECOWAS Parliament is developing information communication technology, ICT-based solutions to distance learning in West Africa. The goal is to achieve internet availability and access to promote remote learning.
Parliament is committed to working with member states in areas related to information and communication technology, science and innovation to digitally connect our societies together. That is why in the next few days will be dedicated to seeking solutions that support our population and to promote inclusive technology and innovation strategies for sustainable development, as well as a conducive learning environment in the post-COVID-19 period.
Parliament is seeking to drive internet penetration further to its 300 million community citizens, promote sundry requirements like power supply, infrastructure, and manpower to achieve competitive education in the face of pandemics.
Most schools have inadequate classrooms and are also ill-equipped in libraries and computer services. Some lack access to electricity and therefore can't connect to high broadband technology.
The Joint Committee meeting in Togo include education, science and technology, political affairs, peace and security, as well as that of infrastructure. Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
2020 virtual G20 summit calls for preparedness for future pandemics, just as Michigan lawmakers decline undoing Joe Biden's projected win in the state. Let's get details and more with Uche Ugochukwu on Global Update.
The 2020 virtual G20 summit has opened with Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz telling leaders they must prepare for any future pandemics. King Salman commended progress made in developing vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics tools for COVID-19, but stressed the need to create the atmosphere for affordable and equitable access to these tools for all peoples. Report from the White House says President Donald Trump's eldest son has tested positive for COVID-19 and has been quarantined at his cabin since the results. The global confirmed infections tally crosses 58 million, as collated by the Worldometer Coronavirus Dashboard. Africa accounts for nearly 2.1 million positive cases, with Nigeria reporting 65,982, after recording 143 new cases. Turning attention to other news on the global scene, aid agencies are calling for an immediate temporary ceasefire in northern Ethiopia to allow aid reach civilians affected by the crisis. Ethiopia denied Saturday that talks on the growing conflict in its northern Tigray region were imminent, just as after 3 African former presidents were named to help mediate the 2-week-old crisis. Morocco and the Republic of Sao Tome and Principe have signed a bilateral agreement for a period of 2021 to 2022. The roadmap partnership covers several sectors like education, vocational training, technical cooperation, and investments. And on the U.S. election, President Donald Trump has had a fresh setback in his bid to overturn his laws, as Michigan lawmakers indicated they would not seek to undo Joe Biden's projected win in the state. Earlier on Friday, Georgia dealt the U.S. president another blow by certifying Mr. Biden's razor-thin margin of victory. Thanks for your time. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
Thanks a lot, Uche. You're watching the news on NT International. We take a break now. More stories when we return.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Entel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit entel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Entel. Live more.
Still watching the news on NT International. In the aftermath of the EndSARS crisis, the National Broadcasting Commission fined 3 broadcasting stations for using unverified and what it described as dangerous information it got from social media. In reaction to some commentators who have resorted to criticizing the NBC over this action, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has cleared the air on the matter. Anthony Fossen reports.
The Federal Government Information and Culture Minister said the NBC was lenient on the defaulters, asking what has happened to the traditional media, jettisoning the age-long gatekeeping process and relying on free-wheeling social media without gatekeeping for news. And to those commentators, Lai Mohammed pointed out that the offenders have already realized their mistakes.
Commentators, many of whom did not even know why the NBC imposed the fines, rushed to allege an attempt to stifle free speech. Unknown to them, the stations themselves know what they have done. They know they have breached the broadcasting code. 2 of them have paid their fines in full, while the third has paid a part of the fine with an appeal for time to pay the balance.
Insisting that the dangerous trend must be curbed, the minister cited cases where renowned broadcast stations were carried away with such fake news, which they later realized it was fake.
Reputable broadcast media organization had carried a fake report that the Ecumenical Center in Abuja had been set on fire during the violence that followed the protest. Though the same organization later retraced the story, the kind of reprisal attack this could have sparked is better imagined. Also, another reputable broadcast media organization featured a report that identified a maintenance worker atop a bank building overlooking the Lekki toll gate as a sniper, leading to attacks that destroyed many of the bank's branches. The organizations have not even been sanctioned for this terrible disinformation.
It is in the light of this that the minister maintains that the federal government will regulate the social media because it cannot allow the country to be thrown into chaos. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTN News.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, says it is aggressively investing in gas as part of efforts to get Nigeria ready for the future in the wake of dwindling fortunes of petroleum liquids. Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mele Kyari, said though COVID-19 pandemic and OPEC Plus production cuts have impacted on the national oil plants, NNPC will complete projects put on hold due to COVID-19 as normalcy returns. Lydia Sampson reports that these are highlights of a media engagement with energy correspondents in Abuja.
Reporting the oil and gas sector can be complex, especially interpreting the new normal and the plummeting global oil prices, as well as their impact on the global economy. Edith Eke Obo is one of the energy correspondents working daily to interpret and analyze developments in the sector for better understanding of the citizenry.
There are certain things that ordinarily I would find it difficult to understand on my own, but with what the GMD has said, explaining things as they are, it has opened my eyes to understand that there are so many things the NNPC is doing that are yet to be known.
She is amongst other energy correspondents at this media parley by the NNPC. For the GMD of NNPC, it provides the platform to not just interface with the journalists who report the industry, but also give account of achievements, challenges, and projections in line with the transparency posture of the National Oil Company.
This is the only company that publishes its operational and financial records every month. There's no company, and I've asked this question severally, no one had come out to tell us that any company does this. It doesn't exist because we know today everything is open.
Femi Adesina, the special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, commended NNPC's efforts at ensuring transparency and accountability.
The President has never sent a single soul to me and said, do this for this person. Not one. We heard the GMD say the same thing here today. I think it's quite comforting for us to know that we have a president who is not doing deals.
FID for 27 NLNG, a major gas project, was signed during the COVID-19 lockdown. The GMD gave an assurance that the AKK gas pipeline will be completed on schedule. This is while most of the final investment decisions that were close to endorsement globally were postponed due to COVID-19. NNPC, the GMD said, proactively refused to bury its head in the sand, but see the pandemic as an opportunity to plan the comeback and make the National Oil Company better, stronger, and more accountable. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Stakeholders in engineering profession have expressed optimism that with commitment of practitioners, the nation can boost the power sector. This dominates discussions at the 6th annual lecture in honor of renowned engineer Otis Anyeji in Abuja. Austin Anyebe reports.
practice has been affected positively or negatively through government policies, administrative styles, politics, and inaction on the part of the practitioners.
In a keynote address titled Lighting Up the Power Sector, Women Engineers as an Imperative to a Successful Power Sector in Nigeria, Engineer Tes Anyechi and Dr. Lamin Sow, Acting Director, UNESCO Regional Office, Abuja, maintained that lighting up the power sector is very important considering its direct linkage with the economic growth of any nation. They expressed worry over the slow pace of progress in electricity supply despite series of pronouncements and declaration on where the power sector ought to be.
It is easier to make photovoltaic panels than to make gas turbines, for example, or steam turbines. So quite lots and lots of opportunities.
Nigerian female engineers in the power sector space. We want to be part of the project. We want to be able to change the narrative.
The lecture was an encouragement for the female gender to embrace engineering practice in the country. In Abuja, Austin and
We do apologize for the unsteady picture quality in parts of that story. The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has once again reassured Nigerians of the commitment of the National Assembly towards the passage of the 2021 appropriation bill by the second week of December this year. The President of the Senate stated this at a retreat for top management staff of the National Assembly and the National Assembly Service Commission. John Yakug reports.
Improvement in productivity and efficiency in service delivery is the motive behind the retreat for top management staff of the National Assembly and National Assembly Service Commission. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, urged the retreat to focus more on reorientation of the public towards the workings of the legislature with regards to the democratic sustainability and good governance. He reiterates the National Assembly's commitment to making laws that will better the lives of the people, including the passage of the petroleum industry bill.
We are working very assiduously. We ensure that there is every possible scrutiny of the budget estimates presented to us by the executive arm of government. So far, the PIB, which is one of the most essential legislations that we have to have in this country, we intend to pass it by the grace of God before the end of the second quarter of next year.
The clerk of the National Assembly, Ojo Olatunde Amos, pointed to capacity development and welfare of staff as priority to his office, which he says account for efficiency and effective service delivery.
We have made frantic efforts to make the working environment for legislative business to be comfortable and conducive.
We find the retreat very significant, since it will provide an opportunity to foster greater understanding.
For the Commission to achieve its mandate, there is need for knowledge and experience sharing, which the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies is providing in collaboration with some civil society organizations.
The Institute has had a long-standing relationship with the Commission, which has taken many forms, including the provisions of capacity support, mainly through training and exchange of experience visits to staff of the commissions, and more importantly, to legislative aides.
The National Assembly represents the people, so it means that at all times, the National Assembly must be on the side of the people to ensure that the people value the democracy that we have.
The forum is expected to refresh the memories of the participants as well as equip them with skills and knowledge that will reposition the National Assembly and its Commission for Good Governance. John Yaku, NTA News.
Up next is a check on Sunday's weather prospects for Nigeria and other cities of the world. That concludes the news at 7. Before we go, remember to connect with the NTA against rape and rapists. Thanks for watching.